GPR SHO is an absolute beast on the water. 1.8 liter supercharged Yamaha engine swapped into this older hull. It's a much smaller hull than you can get this engine in today, and this thing was an absolute monster. Still could use some fine tuning, but still it's an absolute beast, clocking in at 77.6 miles per hour and has the fastest lap time on our test track. Hey, it's Josh here, and today I want to talk a little bit about last year's big wintertime project for myself. That was a GPR SHO conversion, and I'm going to talk quite a bit about that in today's video. And I just have been wanting to make this video for a while, and it kind of breaks down the cost involved to get that project done. I got this ski in the background of the workshop here today, because this is the ski that I've been working on. I'm not really doing anything on this particular project today, but you can see that I have not yet cut up the hull. That's because I've been kind of weighing my options and trying to think about what I really want to do with this. So I'm going to have a video coming on this soon. I'm going to start working on it tomorrow. So probably have a video for this guy either on Friday or Sunday. But back to the GPR SHO. That was my build for last winter, and that was the engine that originally came in this ski right here is what went into the GPR ski. And basically the GPR is a lot smaller of a ski, and also a lot of people have done the GPR SHO conversions because you get a lot of speed kind of without doing any engine mods. All you do is get the engine in there and you go a lot faster. This year I was able to hit 77.6 was the highest speed I recorded, and that is on GPS, so I'm not going off of like a speedometer or anything, and it's a believable speed that I hit. I'm going to break down what it costs to build the project, how much dollars and parts I used. It's a lot easier to go buy a brand new ski and just do the kind of speed limiter override on the the big dog skis like the 300 Sea-Doo, the 310 Cowie, or the supercharged Yamahas. You just reflash those things and they go quite fast. What I'm talking about is how much it cost me to do that on my build, and I'm pretty sure it was significantly less than the MSRP on a brand new ski. Alright, I had to find just a quiet room in my house to add up the costs for this GPR build. Let me just roll through the cost to build this thing. The initial cost was the cost of the ski itself, and interestingly enough, I got the ski with another one, so I had gotten two GPRs for $1,500. The one I actually built was a very nice ski, but the engine was blown up. The other ski was running, but it was like an ugly dog. And originally I kind of thought that I would take the running engine and put it in the nice ski and have just one nice ski. Well, I decided to, build a monster instead. And then, so I actually ended up selling the running one for $1,500, which was the price that I paid for both of them in the first place, was $1,500. So, off to a pretty good start, $0 for the hull. And then I actually sold the blown up engine that came out of the 1200R, the nice one that I built. I sold the engine and the electronics for $500 to Rob. So far, I'm plus $500. So a pretty good start, which is where you want to be on a giant build like this because it gets really expensive really fast. The next thing is quite a big expenditure, and that is to get the engine itself. And I went with a donor ski. That way I get, the engine, the wiring harness, all the stuff that I really need to make it happen. I ended up picking up the FZR, which is the ski that I'm putting the LS into now. But I bought the FZR. I was able to find that for $3,700. Reason that it was so cheap is it had a ton of hours on it. I think it had like 350 hours on it. It was a rental ski, and it's a lot more beat up than it looks in all the videos and stuff. But so I was able to get my donor ski for $3,700, and I'm going to do all the totals at the end. Next thing I had to do was reinforce the pump tunnel on the GPR. Basically, they start to crack apart once you get over certain speeds, so I just wanted to be extra safe and reinforce that. I didn't spend any money. I had the fiberglass mat and the resin already sitting around, but if I didn't have it on hand, it probably would have been like 120 bucks because I wanted to get good resin and quality fiberglass mat. So I'm not really going to calculate that in because I had it sitting around, but if I wanted to, it would have been an extra 120 bucks or so. I had to get the jet pump set up on this thing, and the big expense was getting the drive shaft, and I basically got an entire drive shaft and whole jet pump unit out of an FX SHO. It's just a used unit that I got, $225. Had to get a GP 1300R extension housing. That was $48.75. Also had to get GP 1300R bolts to make that all fit together because it was a different length at that point. $12.95. At that point, I had a running and riding ski. So I should probably do just a quick total here for you guys before we continue on. Alright, so I did some quick calculator math, and I actually had a running and riding GPR SHO for $3,486.70. So that is quite a bit less than you pay for a brand new ski off the showroom. And I don't care what ski you buy in the United States, none of those skis will go over 70 miles per hour without the speed override mod. My top speed was, I think, around 70 to 72 miles per hour, which obviously wasn't fast enough, so we're going to continue to add parts to this build here. Next thing I did was order up a scoop grate, $129.95. To go along with that, also a Solus impeller, grabbing a 1522 impeller, so it's a way higher pitch so we can reach a higher top speed. That was $237.27. And after those mods, we were hitting around, I think it was like 74.5 to 75 miles an hour. I also put like a no slop steering cable end on it. It was $15.95. I did have to do some like steering cable extensions on it, and that was something that Jacob was able to make me, so I didn't have to spend any money on those. Point we were around 75 miles per hour, and the big speed increase that we had, one of the best speed increases that was made, was from the ride plate. And honestly, I just did a custom ride plate myself. After those ride plate mods, I was able to hit that 77.6 miles per hour. And I did that 77.6 on the river, and you know, I was kind of concerned that maybe it was like the flow of the river that was getting me the extra miles per hour. So basically in the next video, I tested that out on the bay, so there's no like current flow, and I was able to hit 77.5. So nears makes no difference, as it were. So I just had to confirm that it was like, could really do it, and it wasn't just like the current flow of the river. That's a good place to tally up some totals, because that's where we are right now. But I got some more interesting totals coming up right after this, so stick with me. This is pretty good stuff. Grand total to get a ski that actually goes 77.6 miles per hour, I paid $3,869.87. Probably a lot of other little like knickknacks along the way, like, you know, gloves and regs and such, but things that we don't really tally up when we build things. So there you go. For under $4,000, I was able to go in the upper 70s. Now, I have no doubt we're going to go faster on this, but I got these other interesting like totals that I can add up for you guys that are really kind of eye-opening. Here's something really interesting that I thought was going to calculate into the build cost that adds to the bottom line of this build. So I sold the original GP1200R engine that came with it that was blown up for $500. Sold, you know, engine, electronics, fuel tank, all the stuff. $500, sold it off. Well, I actually ended up buying that engine back so that I could actually put it into the FZR. My thought was to get it running and get that sold, which ended up not happening. But let's just kind of calculate this out and see how much I would have paid if I had ended up selling the FZR. So I bought the engine back for $500, so plus $500 to the build cost, and then about $500 into the engine to get it running. I would have been able to sell that FZ1200R for, I think, $3,000 to $3,500 when it was all said and done. But we'll just stick to the low end, because I know I could have got $3,000 out of it for sure. So for the $1,000 to get that ski, to get that engine running and putting it in the ski, and then minus that from the sale price of $3,000, so that would have put $2,000 more in my pocket. And then if I subtract that from the total amount of the build, then I would have been into the ski for $1,869.87. And like I said, that's all theoretical because I ended up keeping the FZR to do the crazy LS swap. But pretty interesting that that's I could have had a 77-mile-per-hour ski for under $2,000. Man, that's crazy. This is the first time I've calculated it all out. I didn't realize it was that little. Like, you can't even buy a GPR for that price, like, that actually is good and runs. There is one other expenditure that I didn't add to this whole build, and that would be the $300 that I spent on the sponsons for those Works sponsons. Honestly, I really wish that I hadn't have bought those because they didn't do anything better than my modified stock ones. So I really wish I hadn't have bought those. So I didn't really put that in the total, but you could just add $300 to the total and that would be there. Also, for a tune, once we get a tune on this thing, I'm sure we're going to be into the 80-mile-per-hour range. So for another $1,000, we'll have an 80-mile-per-hour ski. So I think that's pretty cool, and it'll be interesting to see what this thing tops out at this year. The GPRs have always been one of my favorite skis, and I really enjoy just riding them in general. I would say this though, that they are better off in calmer water. When you start get into heavy chop, they aren't quite as good. They do okay, but they're not like the greatest in super heavy chop. And I've had it out in about 2.5 foot waves with this swap in it, the GPR SHO swap. And I mean, it was fun, but it it could get uncomfortable at times and a little bit unwieldy when you give it a little too much gas. But still a great ski. Basically a dream build of mine, something that I always wanted to do. Ever since I saw a GPR, I thought, man, how cool would it be to put a bigger engine in there? During the course of last year, we renamed the GPR SHO to the JSB Interceptor. So if you see that's that ski, the GPR SHO build. I just got tired of saying all those letters, GPR SHO. I thought it was a lot easier to say the Interceptor or the JSB Interceptor. It's one of my favorite skis, was the most reliable ski for us in 2020. Had absolutely no issues, and it's just a stock supercharged Yamaha engine, so why would it have any problems? It doesn't have a tune, it doesn't have any aftermarket parts on it as far as the engine power plant is concerned. But this year I wanted to step it up and do something a little bit crazier. That's why I decided to do the LS swap into this guy, the FZR. And basically the FZR was what they replaced the GP 1300R with. So I think maybe there was one year where there was no R-ski. R-ski. I think the 1300R went away in 2007, and then in 2009 I think is when the FZR came out. Maybe it came out in 08, I'm not sure. But anyways, I think that maybe 08 didn't have one of the R-skis, but this essentially was kind of the replacement for the GP 1300R. It is a sporty ski, but it is quite a bit larger than a 1300R. So it's interesting that it kind of shares that lineage, although it has literally nothing really in common with a GP 1300R. And then what's really funny is that they replaced the FZR with the Yamaha GP 1800. And then, like the next year, they came out with GP 1800R. Still the same ski, but they added the R. So then it's back to GPR to make it super confusing for everybody. Oh, man. But, yeah, FZR, I really enjoy how it handles. I enjoy how it rides. I'm not sure how I'm talking about this in my JSB Interceptor video, but I guess this is just the next crazy build that I'm going to do in the wintertime. I'm really hoping that this will be faster than the GPR, but, we're going to find out. It's going to be a fun project. It's going to be definitely a challenging project, but I'm really looking forward to it. Also going to be doing some more things with the JSB Interceptor this year as well. I do really want to get a tune for it, but that's just if I have any money left over from working on this guy. Once I get this thing all done, the LS swapped FZR, we're definitely going to have to take it out and drag race it against the GPR SHO or the JSB Interceptor. If you want to see more videos on the GPR SHO or the JSB Interceptor, make sure to check out the full playlist on that build. I got a full build series on it and a ton of videos of riding it. They're pretty darn good. A little bit older videos, so maybe the editing and the quality isn't as good as it is these days, but still pretty good nonetheless. So check it out.